Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Clickbait Coffee. Let's let YouTube and StreamYard catch up. Ground Fog's in here at 11:34, and Dana Russell's here. Good morning, Dana. Greg Skeens, good morning. Give me a 2x4 in the chat when you can hear, and we'll know when to get this party started. So, because it usually takes them a few seconds to get going. But, guys, welcome to Clickbait Coffee. It's Friday, December 5th. 20 more days till Christmas. I hope everybody's got their Christmas shopping done. So, thanks, Greg, with the 2x4. If you're anything like me, my wife does most of the Christmas shopping. She asked me, she's like, what do you think your mom wants? What do you think your brother wants? I'm going to get this for Lincoln. And I'm like, okay. So, and I tell Lincoln every year I do like a dad gift is what I call it. To where it's something I'm like, what do you want? Something that your mother will not buy you. And he's like, I don't really know. He's like, let me think. So I've still got to do a little bit of Christmas shopping. So we'll start that next week probably, because we got 20 days. But yeah, it's December 5th. We got some snow yesterday. I was working at my brother's house and hadn't really paid attention to what it looked like outside. And I glance outside at my truck and I'm like, ooh, there's some snow on the ground. So we got a little bit. It's just a dusting, but it makes everything look pretty. So I'm kind of excited about that, but I'm ready for it to go. And I don't even know what the temperature is supposed to be today. I don't even know if we're going to get snow or not. Let's see. It's going to be 40, so pretty much everything will melt off. So, oh, what's everybody up to this morning? It shows we've only got 2 people, but I know that is probably not right. So, guys, don't forget soft tourniquets down there scrolling at the bottom. The soft tourniquets are 20% off. Use the code SOFT, SOF20 is the code to get 20% off those. We've got a ton of those jokers in stock, and we figured we'd give y'all a deal on some of those. Hey, Greg, how's Mary Beth doing, by the way? I saw she posted a bunch of pictures yesterday, and I was looking through them, but I hope she's doing good. So I've been hitting carnivore still pretty hard, and I tell you what, my wrists are feeling good. No achy joints anymore, stuff like that. Good morning, Forrest. Forrest is at the doctor's appointment. That doesn't sound fun. Hopefully everything goes good. And Dana is mucking out horse stalls, doing chores, living the dream up here. Well, that doesn't sound too bad. I've got this afternoon when I get done. I've got to go pick up a load of hay from one of my buddies down by my parents' house. So I'm going to be doing that this afternoon, getting some hay out. I've got the animals out on some nice stockpile that I'd let grow up quite a bit, and they were tickled to death to get out on that, and they were just going to town on that good green stuff. So, but we always keep a bale of hay out for them just in case. I just don't want them to eat it to the ground, so I want to run pick up hay this afternoon. Greg said she had a rough night. Well, I hope everything gets better, Greg. L2 Survive, good morning. How are you? What's the weather like up there with you? We got a little bit of snow yesterday. So, yeah, so still hitting carnivore hard. I want to keep it up. I'll probably take a quick little break for Christmas because my mom always fixes gravy and biscuits and country ham. So I'm going to have to eat some gravy and biscuits for sure because I absolutely love gravy and biscuits. And I tell you what, I would tear some gravy and biscuits up if my mom was here to make them right now. I would totally go off carnivore and do that. So, all right, guys, we're going to talk about here in just a few minutes. We're going to talk about, because when Shelly and I did a live Wednesday night, we were talking about, getting out of debt, financial freedom, stuff like that. And it kind of morphed into a little bit of talking about owning a business and stuff like that. And it seemed like everybody wanted to hear about how running a business, starting a business and stuff like that. My background, I'm 47. I went to Western Kentucky University. I graduated from there with a construction management degree. Not that I really use the thing anymore, but I graduated in 2002, went off straight out of school. I went to work for it was a construction consulting company. I was doing concrete and soil testing for them. It didn't end up good. They promised a bunch of stuff, and I'm like, man, this is not going to work. So I bounced out of there. I worked there maybe like 3 months, and I was like, I'm done. And then my plan was to start my own concrete business. So before I started it up, I kind of had it, advertising stuff like that. And then I went to work for one of my buddy's dads. He was a home builder. So I went to work for him, and it was under the understanding of like, hey, Glenn, when my business takes off, I'm going to bounce out of here. And he's like, that's perfectly fine. So I worked for him for a few months, and then the business, I picked up a pretty good job, and I was like, man, I'm going out on my own. So bit the bullet, went out on my own doing decorative concrete and stamp work. Did that, and business just kept going. I mean, in the beginning, it's slow and everything, but it worked out fine. I did my concrete business I did it up until about 2009, something like that. And I was like, I'm kind of tired of concrete. Concrete's a hard job to do. Kind of tired of it. And then also, all you got was a bunch of drunks and drug heads working for you. And I'm like, this is not fun anymore. I felt like I was babysitting all the time. I had anywhere between 5 and 7 guys working for me. I'm like, I feel like a babysitter all the time. So I was like, I want to do more remodeling stuff. So around like 2009, I started advertising doing remodeling work. So started that. I've been doing remodeling work ever since. We do mostly residential stuff, kitchens, bathrooms, all the stuff like that. Hag Homestead, good morning. So I do mostly residential remodels, kitchens, bathrooms, full house remodels, stuff like that. So it keeps me busy with that. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy doing the remodel work a lot better than concrete. Concrete was fun just because you got to make some really awesome projects and stuff like that. But then in 2023, Shelly and I got the wild hair to start Kentucky Sustainable Living, or KSL. So Shelly and I started it with the plan of we're going to do a festival, twice a year. So we did a festival for twice a year, and it's like, man, twice a year is way too much. We're in constant planning mode for festivals, but we wanted to do workshops and stuff like that and educate, the educational part of it. We really love doing that kind of stuff. And we're like, we've got to cut the festival down to one time a year. And then that way we've got time to do workshops. Shelly and I absolutely love doing butchering workshops. We're both good at it, and we can show you, a lot of stuff on how to break down animals and put them in your freezer to feed yourself. So cut the festival down to once a year. And then I was looking, I'm like, I want to do medical stuff also. That's when we started getting into selling medical supplies and first aid kits and all that. So we started doing that, and I'm like, hey, the next progression should be radio stuff, because not a lot. I mean, everybody's got or wants to buy a Baofeng. So I'm like, let's do it. We can program the radios for people, and then Brian and Susan will do our consultations for us after somebody buys the radio. So we set that up. So Shelly and I have got Kentucky Sustainable Living as a business, and then I've also got my contracting business too. So that's the two businesses that we've got. I encourage people to start their own business, because the thing is, I mean, if you're working for someone, unless you're working in a commission-based thing, you can only make so much money. But now on a commission base, like a sales base, the sky's the limit on it, but still, you're going to max out on something. Melissa, good morning. How are you? But advantages to owning your own business, your pay is unlimited. You can make as much money as you want to, depending on how hard you bust your butt on stuff. Hatfield Homestead, good morning. So, I mean, I made a bunch of notes. I typed out a bunch of notes, and then I was like, oh, I forgot some stuff. So I hand wrote some stuff down. So, I mean, All right. One of the things why working for somebody is kind of a fragile plan in this. And I kind of put this towards, I wanted to gear this towards homesteading people and preparedness minded people. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it just, the average Joe Blow. I kind of wanted to gear it towards the people that watch the show. And let me see, Michael, good morning, all. Owning a business is the only way you can control your destiny, but it's hard work and most people don't bother. 100%. Miss Sharon, good morning. But all right, why it's one of the most fragile plans is you don't own your schedule. You're at the mercy of somebody else's schedule. And not saying that when you work for yourself, you're not on a schedule. I'm on a schedule on jobs. A lot of times it's like, hey, it's going to take X amount of time to do this. Or people are like, hey, this is the hard date that we need to be done on this project, which is fine. But you can get that done as long as it's a realistic schedule, because you can help the customer make your schedule. So you don't own your schedule. If you're working for somebody else, it's like, hey, we work 9 to 5. So you're going to be stuck at that office at between the hours of 9 and 5. You don't control your salary. The people are like, hey, I'm going to pay you so much an hour, so much a year. That's your salary, take it or leave it. With working for yourself, you can 100% control your salary. You control how much money you make. If you're like, man, I'm going to go out and absolutely kill it, advertise my business, do this, do that, the sky's the limit on how much money you can make. And also, if you're like, hey, I'm happy at making X amount of money and I can just stay at this level, hey, that's cool. You control your salary. You don't really control your future on stuff. If you're working for somebody else, the person that owns that business is kind of controlling your future. If they decide to sell the business tomorrow and sell it to somebody else, the new owner's like, hey, we're going to cut your position. Or that business, the guy might just decide, hey, it's time to retire. I'm going to retire and sell everything. And then you're out of job. Kentucky is a hire and fire at will. So they could come in and fire you for no reason whatsoever. And then you're out on the street. A bunch of stuff like that. People think that, yes, I've got a job with a big company, that's security and stuff. Big companies lay people off all the time. I mean, and even if you're working for the state, you're not necessarily the state or the feds, you're not necessarily guaranteed everything. Yes, the benefits are great. If you've got a job, especially working for the state or federal or something like that, yeah, the benefits are great. You got insurance, you got retirement, all that kind of stuff. When you work for yourself, you're in charge of your retirement, you're in charge of your taxes, you're in charge of your health care. Healthcare is a big thing you've got to look at. I'm just lucky that we do have health insurance for my wife's job, which is great, but you still pay a ton of money for it every month. It's kind of stupid the way how much insurance costs anymore. Before, when I was working for myself, I got divorced. And then I carried after I got divorced, before I got remarried to my wife now, I carried just major medical insurance, like catastrophic insurance. If I was in a car wreck and I had to be, put in a hospital and have all these surgeries, major medical would pick that up. I self-paid for everything. If I had, I don't know, a sinus infection, I had to go to urgent care, I would just self-pay out of pocket for that and then go pay for the antibiotics. And a lot of times those places will give you a better deal if you tell them it's like, hey, I'm self-paying, no insurance, and you would get a break on it. I had to get stitches one time, self-paid for it. It was like next to nothing. I'm like, man, I would have spent 5 times this much money a month in insurance as I would if I would have just not self-paid this thing. So you got to look at the insurance too. I mean, there's security and there's not security in working for yourself. The security part is you can make as much money as you want to. But you're going to have to bust your butt, and that it's all up to you, and you're not guaranteed anything. I mean, you're guaranteed to get a paycheck if you're working for somebody else every week, as long as you come in and do that. But that's about the only thing you're guaranteed. And Michael says, self-employed taxpayers can usually deduct 100% of their insurance premiums. Yes. I've got, with my wife, we've got insurance through her work, and she works for somebody else. But she's got a little side gig that she does and brings in some decent money doing her little side stuff. She could bring in a lot more, but she's like, hey, I don't want to kill myself. I would rather hang out with you and the family than to bust my butt doing some of this side stuff all the time, which I'm like, that's cool. Do whatever you want to do. Now, the business mindset, and we'll still, well, one thing, if you're thinking about starting a business, start with a side hustle. Do some side hustle stuff. If you want to, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. If you want to start baking, I know Kentucky has changed the laws on the, I forgot, the cottage licensing laws. They've changed a bunch of that stuff now. It's super easy for you to do bake stuff at home and then sell it. Before, you had to have a commercial kitchen set up, inspections, all this kind of stuff. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they're like, yeah, they've really changed the laws on it. So if you want to start a side hustle after your 9 to 5 and you want to bake goods at your house and sell those, it's super easy to get set up. I think it's like a $50 fee now. And then you have to take pictures of your kitchen and your prep area and all that stuff. So, I mean, the barrier to entry, that, and you have to have some liability insurance. Yeah. And Michael, $50 for a license is a minimal requirement. I mean, that's not getting 7 brew for a week or for a couple days probably. But you look at it, you know, getting set up to do a cottage license, you're talking $50 and then insurance. You know, your minimal insurance, you're looking, you know, if you get $100,000 liability policy, that's going to run you maybe, I don't know, $50 a month, something like that. I carry a $1 million liability, $1 million liability per incident, then a $3 million liability policy with my construction company, just because we're working on bigger houses sometimes and some commercial jobs. So I wanted that. Truth in advertising, my insurance for liability insurance runs me like $98 a month. So you're looking at $1,200 a year is what liability insurance costs me for my construction company, which that's a very minimal investment, you know, if you're bringing in money. So look at that. Pilgrim 420, good morning. Let's see. Hag Homestead, crazy unexpected things happen too, like in 2020, where you had to determine if your employees were essential, and asked me how I know. 100%. And then Michael said, Michael did the cottage license before they opened their restaurant. Miss Sharon, thank you for putting all the fun stuff up there. All our medical supplies, links to all it. And then Pilgrim, good morning. But yeah, so the insurance, if you're looking for a side hustle, start with something like that. I mean, if you want to do soap, if you want to do any kind of herbal stuff, if you want to make salves and tinctures and stuff like that, the barrier to entry is small to get into that. If you want to start a handyman business, and I can tell you right now, I have made tons of money just doing handyman work. We've got doctors and lawyers and stuff like that in Bowling Green. They would rather go out, the husbands would rather go out and play golf, and their wives go shopping, and they come home with all kinds of stuff, pictures and stuff like that, doodads that they want hung and everything like that. And you can literally go in there and charge them good amounts of money just to hang pictures. I mean, I've had a couple customers. It's like, hey, you know, we charge X amount. We charge X amount per hour to do this stuff. And they're like, that's cool. We'll go in there and hang pictures for, you know, half a day. And then they cut you a check right then. And I mean, it's pure profit other than your little bit of materials for, you know, your wall anchors and stuff like that, which that's really negligible. L2 Survive. I heard you can sell pictures of feet on the internet. Yes, you can do that for sure. So I've got too many morals to do that. I think somebody's coming. What you need? All right. Yes, I've got too much. Nobody wants to see my feet. I can guarantee that. But I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. Doing some handyman stuff on the side, you could do that if you wanted to. Uh, all kinds of stuff. Like I said, the cottage license. I mean, if you can weld, do some welding after work. There's tons of stuff that you can do. Stay aware and involved in your local government so you're aware of changing that could affect your business. Yeah, exactly. So watch that too. Some of the stuff, business owners will think differently. You're going to have to change how your brain kind of works out. Employees ask, how much do I make per hour? Business owners is, how can I build something that pays me without breaking my body? Employees want raises. Owners want to build leverage. They want to keep building the business and how they can leverage their business better. Employees fear layoffs. Owners diversify stuff. You know, and you can kind of look. When I was in doing a decorative concrete business, I was looking at the newest stuff that was coming out and how to diversify and stuff. Because I started out doing, we were doing overlay work, restoration on concrete. And then I had people calling me that were wanting me to do just pour, you know, garage floors and stuff like that. I was like, I begrudgingly went in there and started doing just plain concrete work. And then that grew to where we were doing more stamp work. And then I started looking at epoxy coatings. It's just a diversification. We started doing industrial coatings and stuff like that, where we were doing factories and everything like that, which that was another diversification that we could offer in the business. Employees depend on systems for stuff. Owners want to build parallel systems on everything. Preparedness is kind of making your own income stream on stuff. And then really reasons that you need to do your business and start it. It's nice stuff. I mean, you can control when you work. You know, if you want to take the day off, hey, you can take the day off and hang out with your kid when he's out of school, and you can go do fun stuff. You can take him to the zoo when he's out for summer. It's like, hey, let's run down to the zoo today. I want to take off work. You get to control what you charge on stuff. So if you want to sell your product or sell your service for X amount, you control that. Nobody's going to tell you, hey, you have to charge this. This is all you can charge. One of the big things is you get to control who you serve. I've had customers before in the construction business that I go out and to give them a quote, and I'm like, man, these people are going to be an absolute pain to work for. I don't want to do this. So you get to control. If you don't want to work for these people, if you know they're going to be an absolute terror to work with, you don't have to work for them. As opposed to if you're working in an office and the dreaded customer comes in, you have to deal with those people because your boss expects you to. But if you've got a good enough boss, they would probably be like, hey, we don't want you as a customer. So you get to control who you work for. You get to control how fast you grow. Greg New, good morning. Greg, I got to text you after this and tell you what time for tomorrow. You get to control how fast you grow. I mean, if you want to keep your business small, say you're doing, you know, some baked goods in your house. You want to keep that thing small. You're only going to, for Christmas, you're only going to accept X amount of cookie orders. And when those cookie orders fill up, boom, I'm done. So that, or, you know, you can be like, man, I'm just going to take cookie orders right up until Christmas and just absolutely kill it. And then after Christmas, I'm going to take a couple weeks off, and then we'll start back up after the first of the year. So you get to control how fast you grow, and it's like boom, 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 let's go. You know, my contracting business, I started out essentially with my truck. I had a 1/2-ton truck. I started with it and a few hand tools and stuff like that. And then slowly, as I do more jobs, I would start picking up and buying some different tools and stuff like that, stuff that would help me in the business. I didn't take out any loans for it, anything like that. Started going. It's like, hey, now I want these tools. I want an enclosed trailer to keep all my stuff in, where we can keep it out of the rain, organized, all that. So once I saved up enough money, I went and bought an enclosed trailer. We could keep all our stuff in there and just rock and roll with it. So it depends on how fast you want to grow. I'm a big advocate of not borrowing money to take it. So, or to take and start your business. Start it with what you can. Start small and start saving up. Kind of the Dave Ramsey approach. Have your little envelope. I've got my envelope for my enclosed trailer. So once my envelope for my enclosed trailer gets full, then I'm going to go buy my enclosed trailer to keep all my tools and stuff in. Let me see. Miss Sharon. They make it very difficult for someone on disability to make any money at all. Yeah, they can. And there's all kinds of stuff you can do still with disability stuff, working from your house and doing stuff like that. There's just tons of stuff that you can do still. And take care of your employees. 5 good employees are better than 20 unreliable ones. That's 100% true. That's one reason that I quit doing concrete, is because all these guys were just, it was drunks and drug heads. And I'm like, this just sucks. I felt like I was just babysitting people all the time. And I'm just like, I hate doing this. Michael Hamilton, good morning. And starting a new business is like raising a child. It's your baby. 100% it is. And Miss Sharon, only if it's cash in my situation. Yes, there's something to be said about cash. And I don't know. I don't want to get in too much of that. But taxes, yeah, we'll talk about taxes here in just a little bit. But yes, cash is king. Let me see. Michael says, before retirement, I had 120 Pizza Hut restaurants servicing their ovens. See, that's one of those things. And I tell you what, doing stuff like that, servicing the ovens and the hoods and all that stuff, one of my brother's buddies has made a fortune putting in hoods and doing all the hood servicing on restaurants and stuff like that. And he made crazy amounts of money doing that. Then Forrest, my wife and I own small businesses. The silent killer is self-employment tax at 15.3% on top of income tax. If you make $60K after deductions, Uncle Sam's wants 39% of it. So bring home 37%. Yeah, taxes. And while we're on taxes, do not get behind on your taxes. I will be honest with you. When I started out, and I had all these guys, I didn't know, what was going on. I didn't know how to keep up with all the taxes. I finally got an accountant with it, and it got me behind the 8 ball on employment, your employee tax that you had to pay, whatever that is. I don't have any employees right now. We just do contract. If there's something I can't do, I subcontract it out. But yeah, don't get behind on your taxes, especially if you have employees. Make sure you're paying the employee taxes, doing your quarterly taxes, your self-employment taxes, all that kind of stuff, because man, it will put you behind the 8 ball, and then you're going to have to crawl out of that. And it's not fun when you get one of those little certified letters from the IRS. It's like, hey, you owe X amount in taxes. I did get behind when I first started mine. And I'm just like, holy crap. It took me a year or two to climb out of it. But now it's like, hey, we pay the taxes and go on about it. I usually pay the taxes at the end of the year. I'll just save up some money. And then at the end of the year, it's like, boom, here it is. There's my money to the government, and let's roll. Cuck Beef Farmer, good morning. Michael says, it's really fun welding in the attic on ductwork. I bet. But man, my brother's buddy made a buku of money doing that. So, but yes, taxes. Watch your taxes. Do not get behind with the IRS. And I'm not saying anything, but cash is king, if you know what I mean, on stuff like that. Other reasons you should start the business. Well, first, we've got to control. We went over that. Resilience. When layoffs hit, if you're diversified enough, you can pivot and run to something else. Hey, we could do this. I tell you what, I saw in 2008, 2009, when everything kind of crashed and went to hell. It was funny. I saw all these residential builders that all they did was manage houses. They were glorified secretaries. These guys went and bought a brand new King Ranch, went to TSC, got them a new toolbox, and they got a pair of rubber boots. And all they did, they were glorified secretaries. All they did was just watch the construction. They never picked up a hammer, cleaned up a job site, laid the first tile or anything. These guys, quote, pivoted, like, we're your local prepper, good morning. They pivoted and they're like, hey, we're your new commercial contractor. We're going to start doing commercial jobs. These guys didn't know nothing about commercial work. They were trying to pivot into something, and it really didn't work out good for some of these guys. But when the layoffs hit your business, being a business owner, you can pivot on stuff if you've got the diversity that you set off before. Inflation hits, you can raise your prices to a certain point. I mean, don't go out and try to burn people or anything. We've had to raise our daily price and the price on our jobs and stuff like that. We've had to raise those a little bit to go for inflation. But the nice thing is, if you're working for somebody else and you're making, I don't know, let's say $25 an hour, inflation hits, you're not getting a raise. But if you're working for yourself in your business, as ingredients, if you're making soap, as ingredients go up to make your soap, you're going to have to raise your prices. So you're not stuck right there. Supply chains, when supply chains hit and stuff like that, people aren't able to do some of their jobs if they're working for somebody. You can adapt and kind of pivot on stuff like that. Another big thing is freedom to where you live. If I don't have kind of the luxury with a contracting business, I could pick up and move, across the country, but I'm not going to have clients and have the name built up. But if you're doing something, Kentucky Sustainable Living, as far as doing workshops and as far as selling first aid and medical stuff and selling radios, selling our comfrey salve, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I can move, to West Kentucky if I wanted to, and we can still do that because a lot of that is e-commerce. We could still have a festival, but we just have it over in Paducah. If you're just going to sell soap online, you're going to sell soap online and do that as your business. You can move anywhere in the country and still sell the soap. So it gives you chances if regulations change and if taxes are going stupid. If you live in California and you're selling soap and you're just like, man, I'm finally tired of these taxes, I'm going to move to Kentucky or Tennessee, the taxes are going to be different, your business is not going to suffer. You might have to find some more. If you're using local suppliers, you're going to have to find more local suppliers there, but the people don't care where you live in the United States as long as you can still get the soap shipped out to them. Legacy is another big thing. Business owners should be thinking about passing down their businesses to their kids. You don't pass your job down. If you retired from, I don't know, whatever place that you were working at, you're not going to pass that job down to your child. You're passing down your customers. With a business, you're going to pass your business down. You're going to pass down customer base, a process, a brand, and then a machine and an idea that feeds your kids. I would love nothing more than to pass down my contracting business when it's time to my youngest one. Or if he wants to grab the mantle and keep KSL going after it's time for me to retire or die, I would absolutely 100% love him to do that. So you're passing that down. It's like, hey, I've got a ready-made business. You see it all the times, like plumbing companies. It's Joe Blow Plumbing and Son. You see that all the time. One of my buddies that's a plumber, his dad started the plumbing business years ago, and he worked with his dad. He's a master plumber now. His dad's passed away, and his son took the business on, and he's got the plumbing business. Another cool thing too about the business, owning your own business, is you can trade out with people. And we talked about Wednesday night, trading out, bartering stuff. In a stressed economy, a lot of people don't have money, but hey, if, let's see, Forrest, tell us in a minute, a myth. Yes. What do you call a small business owner who takes a vacation? A myth. Yeah. I took my first vacation in probably like 5 years this time. 4 to 5 years we actually took, but heck, I was still doing stuff when I was still doing some phone calls and stuff like that on the beach. But let's see, let's get the comments. And Greg, right there, that's how generational wealth and security is built, 100%. I so hope that my youngest son takes over one of these things and runs with it and makes it even bigger than what I'm making it right now. But barter power, the economy's tight. Let's say you're baking cookies and you're doing stuff, and the kid, somebody's birthday, the guy comes to you and is like, hey, my kid's birthday's coming up. I would like to have an awesome cake for his first birthday party. It's going to be special and everything. And you're like, hey, that would be cool. I need brakes done on my car. And he's like, yeah. He said, you bake me a cake, I'll do the brakes on your car. Deal. No money's been exchanged. Everybody's happy in that situation. And the government didn't get its cut. So you saved on taxes. The guy got a cake, you got your brakes done, everybody's tickled to death. You can trade stuff out like that. And part of that is once you own a business, you can get to network. If everybody in our network started doing something on the side and grew it into a business, we wouldn't have a need for a bunch of these other companies that we buy stuff from. It would be an absolute amazing time to do that. One thing, and I'll hit on this before we get on, an LLC. One reason that you should start a business is tax deductions. And the best thing to do, start an LLC. Then it gives you a better, it lends to be more legitimate. If people are making checks out to Jimmy Smith, Pip and I's, good morning. If you're making checks out to Jimmy Smith, it's kind of like, this is kind of sketch. But if you're making it out to, I don't know, the contracting business, GES Contracting LLC, then it's like, hey, this is a legitimate business kind of thing. So it lends more being a more legitimate business to you. As far as opening a business bank account, you have to have an LLC. If you're going to open a true business bank account, you have to have an LLC. So you go to the state, it's fairly easy to do that. You get your EIN number and all that kind of crap and do. But the thing is, with that and having your own business, you get deductions on stuff. Like if you're going to use, if you're doing a cottage industry stuff and making cookies and cakes, and you're going to go deliver these cakes and cookies to people, then you're using your vehicle. So right there, you're going to get a tax deduction. You can take part of your vehicle off. You can either take just straight mileage, X amount per mile, or you can do it, actually what it costs. If you have to put new tires on there and you're using it half the time for business, half the time for personal, then you can take, half your tires off, and just all kinds of stuff. You can take, if you've got a dedicated office in your house, you can take, X amount of square footage off on your house every year as your office, your home office and stuff like that. Then any kind of stuff you buy for your business, tools you buy for your business, tools you buy for your soap making stuff, tools, your new Bosch or KitchenAid mixer that you're going to do to mix up your baking goods. That's a tax write-off if you're legitimately using it in your business. So some of that stuff, heck, I mean, my t-shirts and my hoodies and everything that I wear, that's a tax write-off. That's advertising for the business. So you can do that. I mean, don't go spend $50,000 on something and then only show that's like, oh, we only made $1,000 this year, but where'd you get the $50,000? Stuff doesn't add up. So don't go crazy on that. And then one of the things also, and I pulled this off the IRS website last night, you have to you can claim a loss 3 out of 5 years, and there's a few exceptions where you can do a little bit more, but you can get a loss on your business when you're first starting out. So that really takes your tax liability down. If you're going to declare a loss on that, hey, I lost money this year, so your tax liability goes super far down. honestly, I think there's only been one time we ever declared a loss in the business, and that's when I bought some equipment and stuff like that. So you kind of got to watch out for that. Then Michael, I clicked the wrong thing. Michael says there's a list of guidelines that the IRS uses to determine whether or not whether it's your business and it's not your hobby. Yeah, I know. I pulled the first thing out and it said, you can claim losses in 3 of the 5 years, and they want you, after a certain amount of time, you've got to show some profit before. And if you don't show a profit, they're just going to be like, it's a hobby. You're not going to be able to take these tax deductions. Yeah, and if you make a profit 3 of the last 5 years, the burden of proof is on the IRS to prove it's not a hobby. And L2 Survive right there, $100 is a profit for sure. I mean, and it doesn't say how much of a profit. So technically, if you've got your homestead and you want to sell eggs and you make any kind of money off that, you can do a Schedule F, I think is what it is, and file a Schedule F, and then show that you made money on it. And then you're going to take all these tax deductions on your farm. So, I mean, just keep doing that. Keep up with all this stuff. You could do little courses at your farm to make some extra money and then show it, and then you're going to get the advantage of tax deductions on that. All right. Most people are like, they get scared on starting a business. One thing is, what if it fails? You know what? Who cares if it fails? Or who cares if you're going to look stupid? What are people going to think? And the biggest things that stuck out in my mind is, I need more money first. I'm not ready yet. I need another certification. What if it fails, and what will people think? First off, who cares what people think? I really don't care what people think. When we started Kentucky Sustainable Living as a business, and it's like, I don't care what people think if we're going to do a festival. It's like, cool, we're trying to do something educational that's going to be fun for people to come, learn, meet people, help build a community of people and stuff. It's like, I really don't care what people think. And I'm like, what if it fails? If it fails, cool. We owe a little bit of money. If we can't get enough sponsors for this thing to pay for it and everything, yeah, Shelly and I are going to owe some money to pay for the rental of the facility and some stuff like that. Big deal. If businesses fail all the time, if you keep saying I'm not ready yet, you're never going to start anything. I mean, I was scared to death to go out and start my own construction company. But it's like, hey, let's do it. Worst case scenario, if your business fails, you've got to go work for somebody. So that's my worst case scenario is, if my construction company fails, I've got to go get a 9-to-5 job. That's the worst thing that's going to happen to me. But people think it's like the worst thing ever. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be living in the gutter. I'm going to be homeless, all this stuff. It's like, no, worst case scenario, you go work for somebody else. And Michael says, I tell my wife every day, is our worst case scenario is most everybody's everyday reality, punching a clock. Yeah, 100%. And then Miss Sharon, people don't usually think that much about others anyhow. They have their own to worry about. Yeah. And Greg, naysayers are not innovators. Yeah. And L2 Survive. Last year, I had to spend a lot on my YouTube channel to offset my tax liability. I only had to pay taxes on $6,000. Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, if you've got it, I look at stuff at the end of the year and it's like, hey, we need to buy this. We need to buy that. I'm probably going to go buy a bunch of new Milwaukee tools right before Christmas, because Milwaukee's got, stupid stuff on sale right now. So look at that. But the thing is, you're never 100% going to be truly ready. You're never going to feel 100% ready to do this. You're never going to feel safe. Don't look for anybody for permission. I mean, we didn't ask permission to start Kentucky Sustainable Living as a business. We didn't ask permission to do a festival. We didn't ask permission to do workshops from anybody. We didn't ask permission to start selling first aid and medical stuff. We didn't ask permission to sell radios. We're like, this is what we're going to do. Shelly and I had meetings about it. I'm like, we talked about it, and it's like, who cares? If somebody thinks you're stupid for doing it, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, I'm going to do it. If we fail, if for some reason we failed and nobody bought any medical supplies from here on out, I'm like, cool, that's fine. We'd have a sale, sell the stuff cheap, get rid of it, and go on about our lives. We would pivot, and it's like, let's not do medical supplies anymore. Let's just do workshops in the festival. So get out there and do it. You're never going to be 100% ready. And it does not take a ton of money to start a business. I mean, I literally started my contracting business with my half-ton truck and a bunch of hand tools that I'd had throughout the years. And then I asked, I looked and kind of came up with some side gig and business stuff that you could start with, thinking about our people in mind. I mean, you could do mobile welding, equipment repairs. I've already hit handyman services. You could do tree work, fence installation. You could do solar stuff. I mean, if you're gifted in solar stuff, you could do some solar stuff for people. Chicken and egg sales. I mean, most everybody's got chickens. Sell the eggs, hatch some babies out, go to town with that, sell some chickens. Microgreens, beekeeping. I mean, Greg News on here. Greg sells honey, does stuff like that. Butchering. I mean, hey, you could do it. If people want to do that, they can bring the whole animal. You can butcher it and do that. Kind of keep it on the down low, but you could do that. Food preservation stuff, tactical training, preparedness coaching, firewood. I mean, you could go cut firewood. There's a bunch of people that cut firewood and sell firewood all the time. Fuel hauling stuff. Greg, farm setting. That's a big one. I mean, people want to go on vacation. You got to have somebody to watch the animals and stuff like that. Miss Sharon, people around here are making bank building fences. Yeah, there's one guy that is him and he's got one employee, and he builds fences all the time. And that guy stays stupid busy building fences in subdivisions. Michael says, beekeeping is a money pit until you're established, not for the faint of heart. I'm not going to get into beekeeping for the money. I want to get into the beekeeping for the honey and for pollination. Farmers markets. Yeah, L2 survive. Farmers markets for sure. But guys, there's all kinds of stuff. We're branching out and doing more stuff with KSL. We're going to announce some of that stuff at the first of the year, but we've got stuff. We're pivoting and doing different things and just keep adding on to the business, and making it better and giving people what they're wanting for this. So, I mean, KSL is a legitimate business. We're an LLC. We're here to stay, and we're here to grow this thing. I would love to pass this down to one of my sons and let them run with it. It would be great. When I get too old and people don't want to watch an old guy on YouTube anymore or watch YouTube videos of a real old dude, hopefully he can take it over. He's got the personality to do it. He's like, hey, I want to do a YouTube channel. And I'm like, you need to slow your roll a little bit. I was like, when you're a little bit older, we'll talk about it some more. Greg says, but the rewards are so sweet. Yes, they are. So, guys, that's about all I've got. And one of the big things, too, is the mindset shift. Remember, get the mindset shift. You can make your business as big as you want to or keep it as small as you want to. It's all about your mindset. And employees ask, how safe's my job? Owners, how am I able to adapt? So, employees want stability. The owners want to build redundancy and pivot and just have backup plans on stuff. Employees worry about retirement. Owners build income that outlives them. I mean, it's kind of true. You don't need $1 million to start a business. You just need the momentum to do it, to get out there and bust your butt. I mean, when I started mine, dude, no kidding. I would go out there. We would make up flyers, just 8.5 by 11 flyers that had pictures of work we had done, had the business name, my contact, and all that. And I would spend hours running through subdivisions and putting stuff in people's mailboxes, on their doors, stuff like that. But now with social media, I mean, heck, we could start this afternoon, if you're going to do, Susie Q's, awesome cookies. We could start a Facebook thing. We could get that going, get it on social media, and you could start advertising and doing that stuff today for, little to nothing. So guys, keep that in mind. It's an awesome preparedness tool to have another stream of income. I'm not telling you to go quit your day job and, quit the day job and then start your cookie business or anything like that, but start it as a side business and then grow it into something. And when you're making so much money, you're like, man, I'm making on my side business as much money as I'm making at the office. It's like, you might want to start thinking about quitting the office job and putting more effort into your side hustle and turn it into a real job. And I'll tell you one thing, I've talked to people about stuff. If you're going to do a side hustle and you ever want to make it into a legit business, you're going to have to treat your side hustle as a legitimate business. If you always treat it like a side hustle, it's always going to be a side hustle. And I've told a bunch of people this before. If you want to make money and make it a legitimate business, you're going to have to bust your butt and make it and work it like a legitimate business. If you're giving 8 hours a day to the man, you're going to have to turn around and give 6 to 8 hours a day to your side hustle to grow it into a full-time business, unless something crazy happens and it blows up overnight. But typically you're going to have to spend that. I work a bunch every day. I work a bunch on my contracting business, and then I work a bunch on KSL every day, and it kind of meshes up. If I'm waiting for something, I'll do some KSL stuff, make phone calls, do stuff like that. Sometimes KSL stuff gets pushed off until the afternoon and night, but it always gets done, and you're putting hours in for both of it. So the more hours you put, the more effort you put into your businesses, the more you're going to reap from these things. So guys, that's all I've got. I'm glad y'all stuck around. If you've got any questions, shoot me an email. We can talk about it further, or leave something in the comments and we'll talk about it farther. But I've got to go do one of my least favorite things today. I've got to go paint ceilings at my brother's house, and I'm not super excited about that. But it's only for one day, and then the ceilings will be done. So it's one day of suck and go on about it. And then this afternoon, I've got to do some KSL stuff on the computer and stuff like that. And then tomorrow's KSL day. We've got to do some stuff with that. And but guys, I appreciate it, and I will see y'all Tuesday morning. If you need anything, shoot me an email, and I will talk to you soon. Local Prepper, thanks, buddy. I will probably be replaying you, Local Prepper, but I will be on there. I always listen to it. Guys, I appreciate you, and I will see y'all Tuesday morning. Have a good weekend.